On this vote, the ayes are 218, the nays are 211, with one answering present. The resolution is adopted. I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban.
The second the vote hit the board, Congress completely froze, 218 to 211, and suddenly Ilhan Omar was no longer fighting a political disagreement. She was fighting accusations of anti-American rhetoric, defending Hamas comparisons, and disrespecting 9/11 victims. What happened next turned the House chamber into absolute chaos, because this was not just another congressional argument. Lawmakers started openly accusing each other of hypocrisy, extremism, and political double standards. One side called it accountability. The other side called it retaliation. But once 9/11 entered the conversation, the entire atmosphere changed instantly.
The privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. House Resolution 713. Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota and removing her from the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a man of deep faith, a husband, and a father to 2 young children. Whereas on September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University while exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Whereas on September 11, 2025, one day after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar gave an interview on Zateo's town hall with Mehdi Hassan in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder. Whereas on September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar reposted a video on X, formerly known as Twitter, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk and those mourning his death. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X states Charlie Kirk is dead, and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at outgroups, demonizing those groups, and sicking his massive following on them. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a stochastic terrorist, an adamant transphobe. He denied the genocide happening in Palestine. He believed the subjugation of women, and in his last dying words, he was spewing racist dog whistles. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further blames Charlie Kirk for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 13 of the Rules of the House of Representatives provides a member, delegate, resident commissioner, officer, or employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect credibility on the House. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's actions in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk are reprehensible and affect the dignity and integrity of the proceedings of the House and do not reflect the credibility on the House. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee on Education and Workforce and removed from the Committee on the Budget of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from my colleagues the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add for the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela, that is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America in Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable. And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, to try to diminish the worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other, because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability, because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our.
This hearing exploded the moment the final vote appeared on the board, 218 to 211. And honestly, you could feel the tension immediately. There was no huge celebration, no loud victory speeches, just lawmakers staring across the chamber, knowing this moment was about to become national news. Representative Nancy Mace introduced the resolution targeting Ilhan Omar after outrage erupted over comments connected to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the accusations escalated fast. The resolution claims Omar reposted statements that blamed Kirk for his own death and referred to him as a stochastic terrorist. That is the moment this stopped feeling like normal political drama, because Americans may disagree on almost everything politically right now, but political violence is still a line most people believe should never be crossed. Then the hearing became even more explosive. Representative Nicole Maliotakis stepped forward and completely changed the atmosphere inside the chamber. You could hear the frustration in her voice. She said she personally sat in committee hearings listening to rhetoric she believed crossed the line into anti-American territory. And then she brought up the comparisons between the United States, Israel, Hamas, and the Taliban. The room got uncomfortable immediately, because now this was no longer just about social media posts. It became symbolic of something much bigger. What counts as acceptable political speech? What crosses the line? And should Congress punish lawmakers for inflammatory rhetoric? One side argued this vote was overdue accountability. The other side argued it was political revenge disguised as morality. But nobody watching could deny how tense the room became. Lawmakers whispering, reporters scrambling, members sitting silently while the vote total glowed over the chamber. And honestly, that may be the biggest takeaway from all of this. Congress does not feel like governing anymore. It feels like political warfare. Every hearing becomes viral. Every comment becomes ammunition. Every controversy becomes a loyalty test online within minutes. And moments like this are becoming more common, not less. That is why the 218 to 211 vote hit so hard across the country, not because it changes America overnight, but because it exposed just how divided the country's leadership has become and how quickly political consequences now explode in the age of viral outrage.